coming right back at you with another episode here. Meet Aleks, an observant, calm, and insightful individual whose unique perspective and soothing presence will surely captivate you. You'll notice the nurturing tone in her voice, perfectly balanced with the authority of a seasoned psychologist. Her roots are in Yugoslavia, but her family migrated to Germany around the 60s and the 70s. Her parents settled in the American-influenced region of Heidelberg, so Aleks grew up amidst a vibrant mix of Asian and American cultures. This multicultural upbringing has given her a profound global citizen quality, enriching her worldview and shaping her insightful perspectives. In this episode, expect to hear Alex's experiences of growing up in a foreign land with parents who are not natives of that area. We explore the concept of belonging, what it means to have a home country, and how one navigates identity in a multicultural environment. Aleks shares the superpower that comes with having deep knowledge of multiple cultures, offering us a unique lens through which to view the world. We also sing praises to Chiang Mai, delving into why this city attracts so many intriguing people. Aleks provides a rich analysis, drawing from her diverse background and professional expertise. Our conversation is a delightful journey through a vast range of disciplines, from sociology to psychology and everything in between. So let Alex's soothing voice calm you as we explore the intersection of culture, identity, and the human experience. This is Heads in Tails.
A strange texture I wouldn't eat.
Like what?
Snails?
Yeah.
I cannot, because in Germany or in France you eat them and they have like a special name. I don't know it in English. I couldn't eat them. You eat them with a butter, like a herb butter.
It sounds like a French delicacy or something like
yes,
that.
And yes, I was born in the south of Germany, so it's close to France.
That makes a lot of sense.
And you eat it there too. I would never eat that.
Yeah, it's just, for me, texture is way more important than taste. Like, I could bear any taste, but the texture, if it's not the right, I guess
oysters, bye-bye.
Yeah,
never.
Yeah,
no chance.
Yeah, me neither.
Ugh. And they're actually alive.
Like gooey and slimy and yeah.
No, I don't like.
Not ideal.
No.
Not ideal at all.
So this is, I wouldn't eat that.
Yeah, me neither.
Chia is okay, and the mango stuff from 7-Eleven also.
So you just satisfy your squishy and slimy and, weird texture food cravings from eating stuff like 7-Eleven, chia seeds, and sticky rice?
Partly, yes.
Why do you think there's a lot of people who really don't like the slimy stuff? Maybe it's not natural for us to eat it, huh?
No, I don't think that it's linked to the fact if it's natural or not, because oysters are quite natural, or a snail is also quite natural.
There's just culture then. Like some
no,
people are
I
used
think
to
it's
it,
our
some people are
it's
not.
our weirdness. It's linked to our weirdness, I think. Or maybe that we like to experiment in a way.
But I guess it's like we're different cultures have different cuisines, obviously, and like for something like a snail is like really native to the French people or where you come from, but it's super weird for me because we don't eat anything like that.
Yeah. Yes, but you will also find people like me I was born and raised in the south of Germany, and I would never eat them, So, yes, I would say it's culturally in the way that you can find different foods in different places,
right.
But I think you have a lot of people who will say, I don't want that, you know?
Even if they're from there, even if
yes.
they, yeah. So, experimenting.
Maybe, yeah. And I guess that you also, you like the taste. and you don't have a problem to put it in your mouth, you know?
Right, right.
And you know, an oyster and a snail, these are animals. It's not the mango stuff from 7-Eleven.
Of course not.
For me, it's something else. I don't want these kind of animals in my life, in my mouth. Yeah, or like a bird. In Italy, they were eating a lot of birds, little birds. I don't want to eat a bird. Or in Morocco, you could eat pigeon pastilla all of the time. I did it, but I had to concentrate on it that I was not eating a pigeon.
I don't know. It's kind of like the smaller the food gets, or like smaller the animal, whatever you're eating gets, the more effort is required for you to turn it into food. I kind of feel like maybe it's not that's not the case, but I just feel like you're wasting too much time to get so little food.
I don't know. I'm asking myself, you know, when you're preparing like 30 or 40 snails,
yes,
you know, it's a little bit like a mass grave of animals.
Yeah.
Maybe it's easier to just have a piece of meat.
Yeah.
And not 40 dead snails.
If we're talking numbers, I think that makes a lot more sense.
Maybe.
You know?
I don't know.
Tell me more about being raised in the south of Germany. Were your parents?
My parents left
there?
Yugoslavia in I guess my father in the 1960s and my mother at the beginning of the 1970s. So my father was working a lot in Scandinavia. I think he also had projects. He had a company, like a construction company in Belgrade. And during that time, there were a lot of building activities in Scandinavia and Middle European countries. So he went there. And
did they meet in Yugoslavia?
They're from one village.
Okay, nice.
My father from it's the first side, first house on the left side of the village, and my mother was back then in the last house of the village on the right side.
So every end is a beginning.
Yeah, and they didn't have not so much contact when they were living there.
Wow.
So my mother went to Switzerland and to Austria, and she was teaching Yugoslav children.
Wow.
So they attended Austrian school and Swiss school, but you had like an like extra school, you know, for the Yugoslavian or Serbian, Croatian, Bosnian and so on language, and also, you know, history and politics and stuff like that. Yes, so they met in Switzerland. My father got a job offer in Heidelberg.
Nice.
And they just stayed there. And I think it was like a random act in a way, you know. My mother wanted to return. She was always the one who said, let's go back. My father was the one who always said, no, don't do that. I'm very happy that they did not do it due to the war in the 1990s. That's really, really nice. Growing up in the south of Germany, I grew up in a city which is one of the most touristic places in Germany called Heidelberg.
Okay.
So it's full of
domestic tourists or
Asian tourists,
Asian tourists,
Chinese and Japanese. When they're doing trips through Germany, they choose Heidelberg. You know, it has the ruin of a castle.
Okay.
So they really like that. And what was really interesting, that this part of Germany was part of the American zone after World War II has finished. So the influence was quite American. The American headquarters were in Heidelberg. So I grew up with a lot of Asian people and Americans, and when I was a child I had the feeling we all belong together, and I liked this idea. So it took some time to realize that it's not a given fact. We're not living there in a way. The Americans were, yes, they were living there, but you know, they had their own supermarkets, they had their churches, they had their schools, and they had
expat communities.
I wouldn't even say that, because they were they were together, you know. It was an American community within Heidelberg.
I see.
Yeah. So I think this is really interesting to be born in such a super touristic city. It's very beautiful, you know. When you're a teenager and you're living in a place like Heidelberg, it gets some kind of creepy, because it's a city which will tell you constantly that life is beautiful and everything is nice.
Yeah.
And when you're a teenager, you're not sticking to those words, or your observations will tell you something else. So I would say, if you're like a native Heidelberg person born in Germany to German parents, and your family is like, let's say, fully German, whatever it means, then it's a brilliant story, I think. But the idea of Heidelberg and the life of migrants and so on is a different topic, you know.
So did you feel a lot of discrimination in school?
No, to be honest, no. I can tell you how discrimination looked like. It was easier to be the child of Yugoslav parents, Italian parents, Spanish parents. What I perceived strongly while being in elementary school, being the child of Turkish parents, is another story.
How so?
It's the moment of the skin color. That it's
who's got the optimal skin color for Heidelberg?
the light-skinned one.
The light-skinned ones, okay.
Yes, and people who are non-Muslims from the so-called guest workers who went to Germany.
So you're saying Turkish people have a little bit more darker complexion, and like that puts them into a handicap or something?
Yeah, in Germany, for sure.
Right.
It's the idea of who is belonging to a certain group and who is not belonging to a certain group. And I can tell you, while being in elementary school, I could recognize up from the age of 7 or 8. I could distinguish between people who were welcomed in Heidelberg/Germany and who was not.
And when you say people aren't welcome, what does that entail? Is it just minor sort of, like they don't get the same treatment?
They don't get, and they're even less able to participate. I would like to put like the word of integration aside, because it's not very interesting and appealing. For me, the idea of integration means to put something and somebody in line. But when you go somewhere, I think you should be able to bring with you what it's like naturally yours, you know. And in Germany, you have this moment that people will tell you, if you're coming, please leave everything aside and you have to integrate here. We have certain values, we have this and that. And so people who were able to integrate, these were the people who didn't have so many problems. But you know, it's not only a question of your own activity, it's also the question if the people will allow you to do so. I didn't have the feeling that they were allowing the people from Turkey to participate that much. And it's also the moment most of the people who came to Germany, and you know, the German government paid money for every of these workers to the governments of the home countries. The Turkish workers were mistreated, and also where they were sleeping, the housing and the salary, you know, there was they made a distinction between the home country of the so-called guest workers who were coming to Germany. So yeah, I would say that there was a moment that the community of the Turkish people was more separated from the others. But I would like to add that everybody, you know, also like the Yugoslav community. I was also attending Yugoslavian school in Heidelberg. Yeah, and this was also like a big group of people from former Yugoslavia who were supporting each other a lot. Yeah.
So then Turkish people would probably be justified creating their own like diasporas in places like Heidelberg.
Like everybody.
Yeah.
I would say like everybody. But when you take a look at nowadays politics, it's interesting in Germany. It's a German-Turkish football player.
Özil?
Yes, playing for the German national team, and he had to prove his Germanness all of the time. And for the German audience, he was mingling too much with Turkey and with Mr. Erdogan.
That's not good. In the German government eyes or something.
In the eyes of the people in Germany, no, it's the moment you're from somewhere, you're a child of migrants, you have to prove that you're really belonging. And I think they tortured him. They really, really tortured him. What did he do? He invited Mr. Erdogan to his wedding. He's really into Turkish politics in a way.
Okay.
He is.
I didn't know that.
I'm telling you, and I think it's really interesting the moment, as I said. Are you really able to choose, regarding questions of your own identity when you're living in Germany? And I would like to add that it's not that difficult if you are from a country within the European context, and it's a Christian context,
Yeah.
So I would add on top, when Turkish people were coming to Germany, that it's not only the moment that some of them had darker skin, it's also the moment of religion, and also the moment of what is it that we are knowing about. And people work like this. It's like, they're so fear driven. It's really interesting, because the question is, what is your actual fear? But I would say these are my observations, and I understood it quite quickly while being a child. And you were asking me, it began like this, was there a lot of discrimination towards my parents? Yes. Regarding my person? No. But what people tend to do, and what they're still doing, is the moment of labeling what is a so-called good migrant, what is a bad migrant. And a lot of German people consider me being German. I allow it. They should name me like they want, because I think I don't want to talk about it so much anymore, and they may do so. And I know how I feel, and I know why they do it, why certain people do that, to say, but you are a German because you have a German passport. It makes them feel more comfortable, and it's the moment to say there is not so much racism around. Yeah. And so what they do, because my German is perfect, and it doesn't matter, that my look, or my hair color and eye color is dark or darker. They think that I am belonging to them in a way. And
do you think you belong?
Yes and no.
I guess my question's a little bit more like, obviously you're going to feel like where you're from, like your genetic build is going to be predominantly what you feel like you're from, where you feel like you're from. But I guess being in that cultural context for such a long time gives you the broader understanding of, what it is to be a German, like,
no.
No. Really?
It's interesting. When you would ask me, and people ask me quite often, do you feel German or Serbian? First of all, I don't know how to feel to be labeled a German person.
Okay.
And I don't know how I have to feel to be considered being a Serbian woman, I don't have any idea or any clue how this could work. So if I have to label myself, I think I would understand myself being an European person, a person who is interested in the questions we're asking within the European context. So, but again, there's the question: what is the European context? Southeastern, Eastern, and Southern Europe, are they considered to really be European countries, or are they crucial for the European context? No, they're not, you know? So, and I would say, what is the heritage of a child of migrants, you know? What is it that we're actually doing? And I needed a lot of time to understand that it's not about choosing one place to live there. What did I learn? Physical movement all of the time. And so I guess it's also like the question of belonging. I don't know where I'm belonging. And so also the question, you know, in Germany of there is no English word. It's not really home country, but where do you belong to? I cannot answer that. Right now I'm belonging to Chiang Mai, I would say.
I think that's a great answer. Because I don't think we could really know. I was just, when I said, if you spend a lot of time in one context, you just understand it more, you know. But that doesn't mean you belong to that context.
No, it doesn't, yeah.
But it can mean that you relate to the world through the lens of that context.
Yes.
See where I'm coming from?
Yes, but I would say it's more than one in a way. I think maybe I can, there are like two or more contexts, you know. It would be one if I would be the child of
German parents,
of German parents, but I'm not.
Yes.
I am not. So I would say no, I think I will go back to the moment of the, let's say, my movements from one country to the other. And I would say what the outcome is the ability to observe intensively.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a superpower, really, to have different, let's say you're, you know, a Yugoslavian person in Germany, or like you're a Turkish guy in America. That gives a superpower of a sort of, if you're observant enough, if you're just not, you know, just taking life just face value, you know, if you want to read between the lines and see things for what it's really worth, I think that's kind of this super invaluable perspective that you have in life that most people just don't really even think about that or know about, you know.
They cannot even have it.
Yeah.
There's a super guy, I like him a lot. His name is Willem Flusser. He was a media theorist, and he was from Eastern Europe. I guess he was.
I'm curious, what if you hold this part, if it's going to make a difference? Okay.
Like this?
Yeah.
Better?
Yeah.
Because of the wind?
A little bit.
And was he from Czechoslovakia? I cannot remember, but for sure they had to flee and they went to Brazil.
Oh.
And what is really interesting, I think he was speaking 5 languages. One of them was German. And when he was writing his texts, he was translating the texts in all of the other languages because he wanted to make sure that he got the point.
Oh.
And what I really like, he wrote a book about, let's say, the migrant and what it means to be a migrant. And what I really like is that he once said that the migrants are the ones who are opening the windows for the people who, let's say, have only one living place / one country, and that the migrant will show these persons to take a look into the world And I really like that.
So expanding the local people's horizons, broadening their horizons.
Their glance, you know.
Yeah.
And their maybe even their understanding. And I would say no, it doesn't work that way. Look, I was born and raised in Germany, and what a lot of German people don't get, and mostly these who are not really into politics and who are not interested, that they will explain how I'm thinking and feeling linked to the fact that my family is not German. It's interesting because I'm specialized in these topics, because it's part of my own biography. And a lot of these people don't have the idea to just ask me. They will answer it.
Of course, they'll just make their own judgments.
It's interesting. But it's interesting for me, why do you do that? What is the purpose of doing so when I'm sitting next to them, you know?
It's harder. I mean, it's really easy to make opinions and judgments, you know? Like, it doesn't take a lot of energy to just... I look at it as like electric, right? Electric takes the least resistance path. So, same way. If, for me, I have two options. When you're sitting right next to me, I can either just, you know, choose the easy way or choose the hard way of ask you and try to think and, you know, formulate and maybe challenge my own ideas. Is the hardest option. Or I could just, you know, be, all right, depending on what I know, this person is probably going to be so I'm just going to take that least resistant path, which is also a survival mechanism. I feel like we have to categorize people in order to make quick judgments, to see, okay, like, is this person a friend or a foe? How should I treat this person?
You're right, and it's even more in Germany. You know what it is? It's linked to guilt and shame. It's the moment that you want that people feel comfortable. For sure, they choose.
Yeah.
You know, the Germans will choose who them would like to invite. When you're a Jewish Israeli, it's like the biggest pain in the ass coming to Germany, because everybody's like, does Shlomo feel all right here? Is he feeling good? It's really interesting. Why do you do that all of the time? First of all, you torture them to talk about politics. Do you have to do it as a German guy going to Chiang Mai or Chiang Mai? No, for sure not. And this moment of what I feel, you know, when Germans are, or a group of Germans to be more precise, when they're in this, you know, I perceive it like physically. They're in a movement, and this moment of if this person, from Tel Aviv is really feeling good in Hamburg. This is so ridiculous, you know. Whether you will be direct, I would love to hear that, like, once in my life, like, oh, there's somebody from Israel. I don't really know how to behave. Do you think it's okay to ask the person how he or she is feeling here? But it's always the moment of, oh, we're so welcoming, you know, and everything which has been, we have left behind. If we take a look right now, if we're reading German newspapers at the moment, we have a big problem. Right. We have a really big problem because the right-wing party in Germany had like secret meetings with Nazis, and they were discussing how to get rid of migrants in Germany. And they don't call it deportation. The idea is to get rid of them while deporting them. They call it remigration. It sounds really nice, really appealing. So, you know,
I love, like, Europeans and Americans find the best words.
They like do remigration.
Yeah, like they find the best words to justify their freaking shit. Well, okay. These are governments. I'm not talking about people, obviously. These are just people in power who are sort of using that in some sort of global agenda that, you know, is this mastermind thing that none of us puny humans can ever understand.
Yes, but people, you know, when you're listening to politicians, you know, you will, or when you're reading about remigration, you will start to pick these expressions, you know, you will do it. It doesn't mean that only a group of people will use them, you know.
Orwell style.
they will all talk about it, and it sounds good because deportation doesn't sound so.
Yeah, it doesn't entail
yeah.
like horrible.
Yeah, but remigration is the moment people were migrants, and right now, you know, it's interesting because it sounds like it doesn't sound like forcing somebody. So you're using this word.
It's like road trip.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, switching gears a bit.
Yeah.
What did you want to be when you were a kid? What did you imagine yourself as an adult? What job? A tourist?
No, wait. I don't know I will be back.
Okay,
Wait,
okay,
because
okay.
this is important.
Okay.
I don't know the English word. I will tell you about my first.
I just imagined you would, you know, having been raised in this, you know, touristic kind of town. Just imagine you being, it's like, yeah, I want to be a tourist when I grow up.
But that's interesting because it's. Yeah.
What's the German word?
Seiltänzerin.
Seiltänzerin.
Yeah, wait.
Genau.
Seiltänzerin. That's funny that you're asking that because I was thinking about it yesterday.
Really?
Yes.
Cool.
I wanted to be a tightrope walker.
Tightrope walker.
Yes.
What?
This was my first.
That's so crazy.
Yes.
That's like the most specific, unique answer that I've ever heard for this question.
But this was my first wish while being in kindergarten. And maybe it is like this because when you're a tightrope walker, you can observe.
Yes.
If you're stable enough, if you feel secure enough, and you're up there on your rope, you have a nice perspective. And what I also like, I was these days thinking about the first 7 months while traveling. And I think this is like for me, it's like the highest state while traveling, that my feet are not touching the ground and my head is
in the clouds.
In the clouds.
In a good way.
Yes, in a really good way, because I think this is like, it's like in a feverish dream, you know? And I like that. Because it doesn't mean that
Where did you even see a tightrope walker? Like, did you go to a circus or something when you were a kid?
I guess so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's no internet when you were that.
No, I went to a circus. I guess I saw it there, and I thought this is really fascinating. And it's really interesting because it also means that your feet are not on the ground and you are not, maybe you are not part of a majority. So this was really appealing, seemed to be appealing, and it didn't change in a way.
Also very balanced, you know?
Yes, but I think but I know I didn't think about that. I think what it's also linked to a certain kind of deep concentration.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is what I've experienced or what I really like, you know, when you lose yourself in a certain concentration, and this is what you have to do up there. It
really brings you to the moment. I don't know if you've ever tried. Have you tried? Yeah.
Yes, it's super complicated. On these slack lines, you know. Yes, I did.
That's what I got into before I started climbing, like rock climbing. A friend of mine had the slack line. I just, you know, set it up in the park. 2 trees. You only need 2 trees. You start pretty like stiff, like it's really tight, you know, like a tightrope. Yeah. It feels like a rock. I mean, not. It doesn't rock too much. It doesn't like. So you can sort of. Yeah. It's sort of like walking on solid ground if you get the motion of it. Requires a lot of core strength, requires a lot of leg strength, obviously. But as you get more and more comfortable, you can just make it a little bit more slack, and that's where the slack line comes from. Yeah, it's so fun. It's so fun.
Yeah, it is.
We got to do it. There's a Michael's gym has slack lines just set up all over the place.
Let's go.
Yeah. So, how old were you when you're thinking about being a tightrope walker?
4 or 5.
Oh, okay. That was the initial
Kindergarten, yeah.
Yeah, nice. How long did it take you to find an actual tightrope? After being like, oh, okay, I want to be a tightrope walker, and then like you found a tightrope to walk on.
I don't know. Do we ever find it?
Huh? I don't know. I think life is a tightrope that we walk on.
I don't have the feeling that the ground that I'm walking on is shaky.
Mm.
No, I have the feeling that I'm linked pretty well to the ground, or while walking or standing. Yeah, that I would say, hey, there's I feel centered in a way, or yeah, even when I'm saying that, I'm having my head in the clouds, and my feet are not touching the ground. For me, it doesn't mean that I'm like uncentered, that I'm losing connection to the ground.
Quite the opposite, right?
Yeah.
It's actually more centered.
I don't know if it's more centered, but it means there has to be a certain allowance. If I wouldn't allow it, it wouldn't be possible. Maybe I would be overwhelmed all of the time, if I wouldn't have a certain kind of concentration. Yeah. Or a certain kind of security while floating around,
Right. Yeah, I think the concentration bit is the thing about slacklining tightropes, because it really forces you into the moment. Very different than music does. Like music also forces you into the moment because you're kind of following that beat, or instruments, or the silence between the sounds is kind of what makes music. But with tightrope or slacklines, you don't really think about your bills, or like where you're gonna go. Or
I guess you cannot, or
yeah. I mean, if you get really, 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 really comfortable, you might just slip back into just normal thought. But I found, for me as like an amateur, whenever I get back on that rope, it just feels like everything else ceases to exist in my mind, and my body is connected to my mind, and my mind is making these sort of like millimetrical calculations to sort of like move my body in a certain way to like offset the balance to a certain part, and then another part, and then another part, and yeah, I would say it's concentration. That's the essence of it.
Yeah, I would also say that nothing else is possible. I think what is really interesting, I was just thinking, when you do rock climbing, what you said right now, I was also traveling with a guy who is into rock climbing and also like ice climbing, and when he showed me the pictures, I was like, wow, this is not so, and I think also with the, the slackline and all of this stuff, now I lost it, wait a second.
Rock climbing.
What is really interesting when you transfer it to different areas of our life, that we most likely don't have this concentration, and I think it should be different. When I'm working with a client, as a bodywork practitioner, what I really like, that I'm not, there's no moment where I'm thinking about, where I'm having an ordinary thought.
What am I going to eat for dinner?
Nothing.
What am I going to do?
Did I pay my bills? I have to visit the doctor. I feel uncomfortable, blah, blah, blah. And I think this is really special, the moment that you will meet somebody and you will offer this person like 60, 70, 75 minutes of your whole concentration. And I was asking myself, why don't we do that more often, also while talking to each other?
This really brings you to This is why I love podcasting. It's the same exact reason, because you said you're talking about clients and giving them time, attention, and energy.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the same things. Same. You have all of my undivided attention right now. There's things I just keep observing, but my mouth and my ears are just, glued to what is going to come out from your mouth and, like your body, and how I'm just listening, as best as I can.
It's super interesting. Why don't we do that more often? Because we're searching for these moments. We are on a rope, we're going rock climbing. People will tell you, I'm going into the forest, because the combination of walking and my thoughts, it's a super pleasure for me, when you're listening to people. Why is it so complicated to have that more often in our lives? Why isn't this concentration more present?
Technology.
But it starts even earlier. This morning I went to have breakfast, and it was a table for 4 persons, and then there was a couple, and they were standing and waiting for a table, and then I thought, just come on.
Yeah.
And they were from Germany.
Okay.
And it took 3 minutes, and I started to regret my decision that I invited them, because I felt I started to feel awkward, and I didn't want that, because there was the moment that they didn't know that I'm able to understand them. She was unhappy because he ordered the wrong coffee for her. So she managed within 15 seconds to destroy the vibe completely.
Oh my God.
They stopped talking to each other. And then the second moment was, and it's interesting, she was concentrated enough to understand that she had that she destroyed the start into the yes, she destroyed it. What she added, it was not, she didn't say I'm sorry or the moment to react more playful. She told him what she wanted for the day. I want to walk around, want to have a massage, I want to go to a night market, and I want that we make a plan for the next 2 weeks. Going
Super
to
German style.
And it was really interesting. And for me, it's also linked to a certain kind of concentration, and the question if we are able to stay within this concentration or not. She knew, this was a wrong decision, that I was so upset that he ordered the wrong coffee.
Right.
And she couldn't leave her path. She couldn't go back to, let's say, let's call it like a goodwill concentration to have a good time with each other. And I think it refers to the moment that we have these inabilities to stay in a joyful concentration, I would say.
So it's not just technology, you think?
No, it's our... It's linked to our failures, and maybe that we feel so uncomfortable with these failures that we are trying not to talk about them.
So the past.
So like she did, why didn't she just say, I'm so sorry about the coffee moment, I didn't sleep that well, it's easy. But what she does, she adds more on top. Why do we do that?
I think this is what the Buddhist tradition would refer to as the monkey mind.
What is that?
Monkey mind is this consciousness in your brain, like the voice in your brain. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a monkey who's just throwing like shit everywhere, like feces, and just obsessed about the past, even if it's like 5 minutes ago,
Mhm.
if it's 50 years ago,
Mhm.
you know, or concerned about the future. Oh, like what I'm gonna do, like where I'm gonna go, how I'm gonna do this, da 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 da, and that just like pulls you away from that
Okay.
whatever's going on. So when you said failures, I just automatically thought about the past, you know, because, you know, like I don't believe in failures. In jiu-jitsu, my teacher always said there's no losing, there's only learning. And if you look at like the top elite level athletes like Kobe and LeBron, basketball, freaking Tiger Woods, they will always say, I don't play to win, I don't play to lose, I play to learn.
Mhm.
And my enemy is me yesterday. So they're just trying to learn from their own mistakes and other people's mistakes, which is even wiser.
I also wouldn't say, you know, it's not the connotation of, oh, I have failed, but I would say this, what I was talking about, that it's, I think regarding this woman, it was linked. It's linked to the idea of a failure, and then not to know what to do, you know. It's not for me. I also wouldn't consider it like this, you know. It's an inability in a way, or even the moment of we're romantically linked to each other since 7 years. How is it possible that you're ordering the wrong coffee for me?
Oh, she thought it was kind of unacceptable.
Maybe, yeah.
For that to happen.
Maybe, I don't know.
Talk about some first world problems, huh?
Yes.
Getting upset about freaking coffee.
And I guess also what I would like to add, what is maybe more important for me, is always the moment when I'm able to travel, you know, when I have, let's say, the right passport. The German passport, by the way, I read it a few days ago, is in the top 5 of the best.
Yeah, second to third best.
Yes. And I thought with the German passport that you could
the best
enter
one?
it. The best one? I guess there's only one which is better.
Yeah.
I don't know which one it is.
You know?
I don't know. I
Yes?
can only tell you that you're able to to enter 194 countries in the world with a German passport without a visa. 194.
Oh, okay. Singapore is more.
Is it?
Singapore took it back from...
No, I don't think so. Is it? I cannot remember.
I don't know 2024, but in 2023, Henley's passport index
Singapore.
Singapore's the best. I think second.
Austria is after
Right
it's after Germany.
Oh, yeah.
I guess. American passport.
Oh, yeah. Probably one of the... I mean, it used to be really good, but now it's kind of like meh, whatever. Second best is Dubai. And probably third best is Germany.
It's crazy. 194 countries. To come back to this morning incident, I think you are able to travel. You're healthy enough to do so. You have the financial possibilities to do so. And I think it's really interesting. I was observing that a lot. Why people are talking about, let's say, everyday questions or problems while being far away. For me, it's really interesting because this is the last thing I would like to do. When I'm going back, and I will go back, I think I have 5 weeks left. Then I have to sort things out. I have to see how to find my place again, you know, somewhere.
Then you can start worrying about the wrong coffee.
But it's really interesting that you're traveling and all of these questions are bothering you all of the time. I don't know why it is like this.
Well, they don't deal with it, you know, because all these things, all these problems, it's not the coffee, you know, like it's never the coffee. It's always some things that they haven't talked about, you know, like in relationships specifically. It's never that sock that you left, you know, outside. or like a little pet peeve. Oh, I hate it when you do this. It's never that. It's always like a combination of a lot of things, just like being built up that you don't deal with in the moment, that are kind of like, I don't know what's a right way to put it, but they're kind of like discussion debts, like you have to pay those discussion debts to your significant other, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your neighbor, and if you don't pay those, then they come up in like different manifestations, like, oh, like, why'd you order the wrong coffee? Oh, like, why'd you take this road? Oh, like, why'd you do that? I don't know. What do you think?
I would also say, but this moment of having a certain freedom, and it's about your well-being while traveling, I don't understand. I understand what you said right now. I would also say that it is like this, but if you're traveling, you're adding a new layer to it, and if you know that you only have 2, 3, or 4 weeks time, I cannot understand why you torture yourself like this. This is something I cannot do. For me, and I understand, I would say, as I said to you, the first 7 months while traveling, I had the feeling that I was able to perceive my adventures like fully with my body. So my head was not that much included. I really like that, because this territory is torturing us a lot, and we don't need our brain that much, and if we choose to need it, it would be nice to have some kind of concentration or the moment to really practice what thinking means. And so I really like the fact that my body took over the lead. And what is really interesting, after a while, I got tired. I had visited a lot of places, and it was enough for me. I didn't want to have new encounters. I didn't want to see other countries. I just stayed here.
In Thailand?
Yes, in Chiang Mai, and on an island in the south of Thailand. And what
Which
is on Koh Lipe?
Oh, Koh Lipe, the James Bond island.
Why James Bond?
Because they shot the movie there.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Or Koh Phi Phi. Maybe it's Phi Phi.
It's Phi Phi. It's not Koh Lipe, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting, the moment I thought about it this morning, how you start to include your head. I don't like it that much. Sometimes I succeed to change it again, but I also have the feeling, while I was traveling at the beginning, how can I explain it? Wait a little bit. I would say, I was part of the places I visited, but together with the moment, feet up in the sky and my head, it was more of the moment that the encounters I had with the people and the places itself, that there were like rushing through me. So I also could really feel the outlines of my body. I liked it that I was somehow all over the place. And what is interesting for me, while being the third month here in Chiang Mai, that I'm feeling somehow like in Germany, where I'm living.
So you felt home?
No, I wouldn't say that I feel home, but it's the moment of a so-called everyday life.
So you fell into the rhythm of life here in Chiang Mai?
I would say a little bit, even though I'm not working, and I can choose what I would like to do. It's the moment to really feel my body thoroughly, and also like being complete regarding my outlines. And I have to say, I preferred the other mode more. It was nicer.
The other mode?
Yes, while traveling the first 7 months, that I was all over the place.
Oh, so you find that getting carried away with a rhythm of a place
was nicer. I enjoyed it more, yes.
I see.
Yeah.
And how about Chiang Mai in general? Did you particularly choose this place? Did you choose this place, or were you recommended, or?
I tell you something. I was living on an island in Croatia, 9 years on off.
Oh, okay.
And the guy was a Croatian guy. He lived in Germany during the war, and he was working there as a real estate agent. And he met a client from Germany, and he didn't like this German client who wanted to buy a house on this island.
Okay.
And then the German guy said, wow, it's so nice to have the money to come here and to buy a house. And the real estate agent said to him, well, you might think that you're choosing the island, but I can tell you that it's not that way. This is an island which will choose you or not.
Never gonna get it, never gonna get it.
It was great. I really liked it. So I would say.
So the guy is like the gatekeeper of the island or something?
No, he is a real estate agent who is selling houses, and a real estate agent, I think, is interested to sell his real estate to other people to make money. But I really like the moment to let the person know, yeah, maybe you have the financial resources, but you will see, the island, it means the people, the rhythm. They will choose if you can stay here or not. I don't know. I chose this place actively. I was here in August and September. And as I knew I didn't want to travel to another country.
Right. From Lipe you came here?
No. From Malaysia, I guess.
Oh, okay, cool.
No, from Indonesia.
From Indonesia, okay. Bali? No.
No, from Karimun, Java, in the north of Java.
Nice. Nice.
Yes. I guess after Singapore.
So you didn't feel the way you felt here in Chiang Mai and all these other places? Or you didn't feel like you wanted to stay that long in any of these other places?
I think there was still the moment of I want to explore, and I travel quite slowly.
That's the best way to travel.
2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I guess Koh Lipe, I was there 3 times since last February. I spent nearly 3 months there.
Nice.
And then it was somehow Chiang Mai. I have the feeling it's good to be here.
It's an amazing place for a lot of people.
Yeah, I can understand it. And I also have to say, the people that I have met, I mean not the locals, I mean the people coming from all over the world. I like these people. It's really interesting. I always have the feeling that there are other places in the world where I would say, I don't know if I like this community that much. But here I always have the feeling that the expats are like really welcoming compared to other places.
Let's try to explore why.
I was asking myself if it's linked to the size of the city.
It's the perfect size because not too big, not too small,
Maybe it's something like this. Also the question of how many high buildings do you have? Do you have areas where people start to feel or get uncomfortable regarding the architecture? I think it's also the moment that you're allowed to be here, that there are not so many obstacles you're facing. I think it's also the moment what the people who are living here are presenting to you. I would say it's maybe or for sure linked to that.
Definitely.
And I would say everything you can catch visually,
Yeah, that's kind of the driving factor why a lot of people are just like, like you could see everyone's just coming here and taking pictures.
Yeah.
It's super picturesque.
Yeah.
I mean, just like anywhere else in Thailand, The pictures don't really do it any justice, I think, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it's not only just visually pleasing, but there's depth to that image of, you know, the places that you see aren't just like nice places to look at. They're actually nice places to be at, because of all the reasons that you just counted. And that might be a reason why the community is like, you know, welcoming and open, and there's like space for everyone, and you know, like a lot of ideas are welcome. There's no discrimination from, you know, where you are or what kind of orientation you have in terms of a person, you know. Yeah, I mean, growing up in Istanbul, since I was an only child for like 14 years, I found myself hanging out with a lot of older kids. Even in high school, my first grader, I go hang out with the older people. In university, it's always, you know, like everyone's at every age. But in friend groups, I always had this, I'm always the youngest, generally the youngest. And I always say, you're the, as a joke, but at the same time, it just felt like everyone was just way too conscious of their age, you know. But over here, I was hanging out with a lot of people who are like way older than I am, more than, you know, I'm 20 and they're 30, 40. It's more like I'm, you know, late 20s and these people are like 30, 40, 50, sometimes 60. Mm-hmm. And never anyone mentioned my age or asked my age or anything.
No, they
like
don't
this.
do it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when I visit the Balkans. My family is in Serbia.
Yeah.
I traveled first to Serbia, then to Bosnia, then to Croatia. There's one thing I always love to do. It means spending time with people who are way older than I am. Because in Germany, you don't see these people. You don't see old people. When somebody is 80, 85, 90, over 90 years old, they're in these special houses.
Yeah.
And on the Balkans, not, because Southeastern Europe and in Southern Europe, you know it from Turkey, you know, you don't give away your parents or the grandparents. So, but I really...
Only if you hate them.
And you have the financial possibility to do so,
Sure.
then you can do so. And this is what I always liked, you know, the moment to be somewhere. I don't know, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, you're in a bar, and then you see a woman who is like really old. She's entering the bar and she tells you with a voice like this was a hard day, it was so hot. I would like to have a grappa. How old are you? I'm 92 years old.
And it's noon. How hard would your day be for like a couple hours? I love that.
It's
I actually
super
love
nice.
That. Yeah.
And I also wanted to confirm, to say that I like it here, you know, when I go to different music venues, that the people are older.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really like that. And I think also what you said right now, it's yeah, it doesn't play a role. And I was thinking about it. Why is it like this? Because I think, you know, people, they had established their life somewhere, you know, on different continents, and they chose to change something. So they were leaving their so-called home countries, or the countries where they have lived prior to Chiang Mai or to Thailand. And I think it's this circumstance to make a decision. And I think if you're transferring yourself from one place to the other, you're not interested to stick to stereotypes, you know?
Yeah.
And I think also the moment a lot of people also came here to free themselves in a way. And maybe it's not such an active act in a way, because
So people come here to escape stereotypes? Or do you think being in transit allows less stereotypes to survive?
maybe it's the moment if you carry around too many stereotypes that you have to carry a lot. And I think it's also linked to the question of fears when you're going somewhere and what we don't want is to stay alone, I think. When you're leaving home or a place you would consider your home, I think it's something like this. You're going somewhere, and what do? I think you have to present yourself. You have to be the best version of yourself. I think it's that. Because you're new. You want to interact with people. You want that somebody likes you. You want that you're able to call somebody if you're feeling uneasy. I would say it's something like this.
It's powerful. Yeah. If you're, mentally and physically well, and you have a good headspace, if you go somewhere else, you have the courage enough to leave your quote-unquote home where you've established your life and all that, and you're stepping out of that comfort zone, which is where all the growth happens. I think if all of these circumstances are right, you want to present the best version of yourself to people.
I would say so, yeah.
But also I like that you can be anyone here.
Also, yes.
Like, you can just create this new persona that you've had,
Is that possible?
Yeah.
To which extent?
I think you can't create like a freaking persona from thin air. I think you have to be like a sociopath, a psychopath a little bit to just let's switch into something completely different. I think all these new personas that you kind of have are already things that are cooking inside of you, and they sort of manifest in different circumstances. So yeah, I think to any degree, that's possible. You can be anyone. I guess I don't understand the question that well.
No, I think it's like this, but I'm asking myself if when you're reinventing yourself, maybe I wouldn't stick to that. Maybe it's more the moment that you're making decisions, which topics you will talk about or not.
Okay.
Because the first thing what we do when we meet each other, it's a question what we will talk about. And I guess it's maybe the moment when people are going, when they're making a decision to go. And when we go somewhere, you cannot get rid of yourself. But you can, I guess you can make decisions what you would like to continue while maybe being in transit, or the question who wants to be in transit and who doesn't want to be in transit. I guess there are two options for people who are coming or going. It's linked to these two phenomenons for me in a way. Because to be in a transition, you have a lot of luxuries, because maybe it means you will change countries quite a lot. And the other thing, when you say, I want to settle down, even though it's on another continent, you will have other questions or other problems to deal with, I guess.
I think it's wherever they're coming from, it's their loss. Because just going back to these elder folk being pushed into these retirement houses and facilities and all that, I think a lot of wisdom is just lost, because elder people just carry this life experience that quite frankly is more important than any information, because they have knowledge, they've lived through it.
Don't say that.
Why?
Are you sure?
Yeah. Like information versus knowledge.
Okay.
I mean, knowledge is applied. I did it. It doesn't work. It's this quote. An amateur knows what to do, and a master knows what not to do. So, having lived, you have a lot of, you're like a walking database about a place. Let's say you've never left Yugoslavia, or you never left Germany, or you never left Turkey, and let's say you're working in a place, or you have a lot of information and knowledge about this one place, and if your kids are just like pushing you to these retirement houses, no one's really like extracting that information from you, and making it useful for other people. I think it's really important to stay engaged with the elder people, because like they've tried things that don't work. And I think that's very valuable to know for the younger generation, because
if this is their attitude,
sure.
If it's a Western attitude, where people will tell you, older people will tell you, I'm already here for 30 years, I understand everything quite exactly. When I hear this sentence that you're able to understand everything, and then
it means you just close yourself to learning more.
Yes, and then this person will tell you, or you will ask, do you speak Thai? And the person will tell you, I do not. It's really interesting. No, you cannot. Look, I'm speaking Serbian, and for sure not perfect, but it's good. It's good enough to communicate with people. And it's really interesting, even though I'm speaking the language, the people there, while I was working in Sarajevo in Bosnia, they would consider me being German. So they even put aside that my parents are from Serbia, or that I am of Serbian descendant. I always have to face these moments that other people will choose, and I let them do so. But I know how important the language skills are, and it's not for communication only. It's the moment that you understand more. You understand the net within certain societies. You understand the positions of people, and it's interesting. If somebody, you can stay here for 150 years, but if you're not able to
talk the talk,
you can forget it.
Yeah. Then you can't even think about walking the walk.
And it's interesting because your glance is your Western glance, how you're approaching people, or how you're looking at them. While traveling, it was interesting when I was on Karimun Java, this island in the north of Java. There were some days where I asked myself, are you able to understand something? I was observing these communities quite a lot, because I was impressed what kind of communities people in Muslim countries have, and they differ quite a lot from other communities, because I have the feeling in Islam the question of loving the person next to you is a really, really big topic, and I could see it like in these little micro societies on the island of Karimun Java, because people were mostly outside. They were also praying outside, having food, and we were involved quite a lot. And then I asked myself, are you able to understand something? I don't know what kind of, I couldn't answer this question. Sometimes I had the feeling I could grasp like a little glimpse, but I don't know if I'm able to understand, and I don't even know if I have to understand. If I'm with them for, I don't know, longer than 2 days, do I have to ask myself, do I understand? And what does it even mean? And I feel that I don't understand, that I cannot find answers to these questions. I just don't know. I don't know if I understand something.
Well, I mean, to sort of oversimplify it and just look at it in a very surface level, I think Muslims stick together. It's like it's very common that let's say you're going shopping, you got to give everyone a little love, like some guy, you buy your rice from some person, you buy your meat from another person, and family is obviously extremely important. It's kind of like Jewish culture, in the sense that they really, really stick together, and that might be the reason why from afar it looks like like they're actually there for each other, and like everyone like loving the next person. But I think in different geographies, Islam manifests in different ways. Middle East is going to be different feel than Turkey, is going to be a different feel than Java, is going to be a different feel than Malaysia. Is going to.
Yes and no. I'm not so sure. I don't know. And also the moment, is it even right what I'm observing? I can just say, yeah, compared to Germany, I would say they deal with certain questions differently. And nothing else. It's not even the moment. What do I want? Do I want to change something? It's just a moment. I think it's just a moment. Do we understand? And a lot of people think, who are visiting an elephant sanctuary and they're going to a temple and they're doing rafting, that they have an idea, of the country they have visited. I don't have ideas. I can just be there, and maybe it's the moment that I will process later, or maybe it's a moment, because all of these things I have experienced, they're here, they're inside my body. Maybe it needs, I need more time, or my body needs more time, and maybe the body will let me know, maybe or most likely I'm not able to do it with this part of my body, to find answers.
It seems like from the outside you already have the answers, whether you acquire them intellectually or not is just, like you said, a matter of time. But I think it's more about questions in life. It's really not about answers, It's about how more curious can you get.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah, because it's just, all the answers are just gonna, if they're good answers, they're actually questions, more questions. And the more you ask, the more you have the opportunity to learn. It's
or the activity of a question. If you have a question which will be part of your life, so you're living the questions.
Yeah, just staying curious, because when you stop, I think that's when the whole I've been here for 30 years, I know, kind of kicks in.
Yeah, you cannot. Yeah, you cannot.
Because it's changing. In those 30 years, it's not stagnant. Some places do change less than other places, maybe, but still, nonetheless, it's change. Oh yeah.
What would you say when it comes to the moment of leaving your homeland, or a certain continent, like leaving Europe and coming to Asia? I heard an expression, and it was really funny. A European guy told me, I don't know, do you know this expression? We have it in Germany, that you're wearing pink glasses.
Oh, yeah.
It means everything is it's blurred and it's beautiful and full of love, and everything is pinkish and red and super, super nice. And he used that I think he said that his pink glasses were so big that he couldn't enter the door, that he got stuck. And then I asked myself, why is it so unattractive or so shameful to put on those glasses? It's interesting for me, because it refers to a certain kind of reality only grown-ups can have. The concept of grown-ups is really boring for me, because the most things grown-ups do are not appealing. I don't want to do that. I wouldn't consider myself being a grown-up when it comes to these questions, or the moment of playfulness, because most grown-ups lose that, they have children, they have to work, they're buying real estate, blah, 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 so certain things you cannot do. And I was asking myself, why is it so shameful, so unattractive to wear those pink glasses when you're going somewhere else? What do you think?
It's shameful to observe places in a more positive light? I don't get it.
Yes, it's something like this.
Huh.
It's the moment that the person told me, don't let them fool you.
Oh, I see. Well, I guess it's kind of like, if you're really deep seated into your way of living, you know, whatever that living is, European, Middle Eastern, American, whatever, that's your default way of looking at life, and anything else is just like, that's not real, because you know what real is, you know, like what your real is whatever context that you're used to, and whatever else is just like, like that's just like people, yeah, they might be telling you that, but it's only because you're traveling, or like that might be feeling that way, it's only because you're a tourist, or only they want to make money from you or something like that. So I guess the sort of like default is just like not allowing you to experience what you're experiencing right now, like in your body, you know, or in, you know, less of a mind, and you're like more into the rhythm of the place. I do see some people saying like, are you gonna wrap up soon? So any parting ideas?
I don't know.
That's a beautiful idea.
I don't know. Maybe that maybe there are many.
Well, it starts with one.
No, I think I cannot add anything at the moment. No, I just have the feeling that it's I don't know, it's quiet inside of me, so no more questions in the way or ideas. I think the only proposal is, stay curious, don't find too many answers, stick to your own humor, and try to do what you really want to do. Something like this, I would say.
Those sound like some universal truths.
I don't even know if they're truth, but it's the moment. Yeah, stay curious and find your way of observing, find your way of experiencing things, and maybe just try to do it your way, whatever it means, you know? Yeah. Maybe this is in a way universal, but maybe we're not saying it that often, you know? Just play, touch everything, put it in your mouth. Experience it in a way.
Out of context, that might sound weird, but in the context that we're speaking about, I think it's very useful and necessary. It feels like you're saying, you know, remember how fun it was when you were a child, you know?
Yeah.
It's more of that.
Yeah. Yes. Maybe it's something like this. It is serious, but you don't have to add to more of that, you know? Just let it be serious, and you can choose what you would like to add or put on it. Yeah, something like this.
Oh, and I realized you didn't really introduce yourself to the audience.
No, it's okay. I don't have you.
No name. Well, thanks everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.